Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Across Time with YSI Season 2, where we're interviewing the speakers of STEM Quest 3.0. I'm your host, Amir Ali, and our guest today joining us for episode 4 of Season 2 is Reindy Sanon. Reindy recently presented at STEM Quest 3.0 with a session titled From Molecules to Moisturizers, the Chemistry of Skincare and Inclusive Dermatology. In her talk, Reindy explored how skincare lives at the intersection of chemistry, biology, and ultimately daily life, reminding us that behind every serum or moisturizer is a complex molecular design shaped by human diversity. She emphasized why understanding different skin types, conditions, and backgrounds is essential for creating skincare products that actually work for everyone, not just a narrow group of users. Her session pushed skincare beyond trends and aesthetics, reframing it as a science-driven and equity-focused field where thoughtful formulation can lead to more effective and inclusive care. So, who is Reindy Sanon beyond what we learned from her STEM Quest talk? And she'll tell you more about it, but I'm just going to give you a brief intro. Reindy is an aspiring dermatologist and future medical student with a strong interest in microbiology, chemistry, and skin health. She was selected as a 2025 Junior Fellow with the Harvard Undergraduate Microbiology Society, which is an achievement that reflects her commitment to scientific research, collaboration, and leadership. Her academic and extracurricular work sits at the intersection of medicine, chemistry, inclusive healthcare, and more, with a particular focus on how foundational sciences can inform better dermatological care and product development. So, in this episode 4 of season 2, we'll explore Reindy's journey through science and medicine, the chemistry behind skincare, how she got interested in all of this, and how inclusivity can and should be a core principle of STEM innovation. So, Reindy, it is a big pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Across Time with YSI. How are you doing today, and where are you joining us from?
Hey, Almirali, thank you again so much for having me. And I'm joining from my house, my family room in New Jersey. So, again, I'm very happy to be here.
Amazing, on the East Coast. Sweet. So, I first learned about, I learned more about your work, I would say. I didn't know about you and what you do before, but I learned a lot more through your STEM Quest 3.0 talk and your session called From Molecules to Moisturizers. So, what inspired you to focus on skincare chemistry and to study it more and also inclusive dermatology? And why did you feel like this was an important topic to bring to a STEM audience? What was the inspiration behind it?
Of course. So, first of all, I've always wanted to be a doctor since I was little, since I could remember how to read and write. So I've been watching TV, I've been watching different TV shows, and I've really been inspired by the way they take care of their patients, or they care for one another, or they care for themselves. So I always knew I wanted to be a doctor and be able to share my knowledge and help others. So I really wanted to become a dermatologist really in my teens because I've been very interested in skincare and how it affects how I look and how it affects other people. So I experimented with different soaps, with different creams, and I know what works for me now and I know what doesn't work for me. So I said, well, if this is so interesting for me and how I see this certain product working for me and this product doesn't work for me, maybe I should dig deeper into why that is. So I've fell in love with skincare, skin health, skin education, and dermatology as a whole, and I decided to bring that to my talk in STEM Quest 3.0. So I've been a participant in STEM Quest for since ever it started, so I just thought to end off my high school years with a bang, I decided to become a speaker. Why not bring a topic that I've known so much about, I got to study for a long time, and why not tell people about it? So that's why I decided to cover my topic on the chemistry of skincare and inclusive dermatology.
That's really cool. I absolutely love it when I see participants of STEM Quest become speakers in a future edition, and you're one of the people who have done that. So that's very cool. And I hope that you speak at, other STEMQuest 2, STEMQuest 4.0, 5.0, so on. So I'm really glad that you did that. And it's also really cool that you would also experiment with different soaps you said and cream and everything. Like it's so cool to also do these experiments on your own because it shows first of all your passion for skincare, for dermatology, and also that you like hands-on practical learning. It's like how a scientist thinks. Like you like doing things and trying to discover things on your own through experiments. So that's a really cool thing that you do too. Um, Now, you're pursuing a path toward dermatology while working across chemistry and microbiology and healthcare and everything as well. So when someone asks you, what do you actually do? How do you usually explain your journey?
Of course, first of all, at the end of the day, the first thing I am is a student. I'm always constantly learning, just like a future doctor would. First of all, I'm in high school. I'm almost done with my senior year. I will graduate this coming June. But that doesn't stop me from pursuing my interests and doing the things that I love to learn about a topic that interests me and I have a passion for. So, anytime I get the chance to do a little bit more research on whether it be chemistry, biology, or just skincare as a whole, or learning about different sunscreens for different skin tones or skin colors, I'm just taking the time to continue to learn. And I think at the end of the day, I am in multiple roles. I'm not only a student, I'm a student researcher. I can say that I'm a public speaker. I'm a STEM leader. There are multiple things outside of being a student that I do. And I love all the things that I do, and I don't think I would be me without them. Because truly, I believe that learning about things that you care about and taking the time out of your day to do that, it really shows how curious you are and how willing you are to go out of your way to do so. So, me going out of my way to learn about these different topics in dermatology and skincare really sets me up for the path that I intend to go into, which is dermatology, and sets me up for furthering my education, whether it be in college or med school or even beyond.
And you know what? You really are all those things, based on what I've seen from you. So keep it up. I mean, it's amazing to see how many roles that people can have and how diverse they can be, because I feel like we're all really multifaceted human beings. We shouldn't label ourselves as one thing. We should strive to be multiple things, and that's I think the best way to learn, to develop new skills, and to be pretty I guess, knowledgeable, skillful across multiple fields because in the future, when you combine all of this together, it's like combining a lot of valuable assets that you have because it's only you who has that unique set of assets. No one else does. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think it's a bit overlooked sometimes, but it's incredibly important to be so multifaceted. So
Of
it's
course.
it's inspiring to hear it. Now, you were selected as a 2025 junior fellow with the Harvard Undergraduate Microbiology Society, which is a huge accomplishment. Now, I'm curious, how did that experience shape the way you think about research, about collaboration, and about things like scientific responsibility?
Of course. So, in the Harvard Undergraduate Microbiology Society, we essentially perform outreach. So, currently, I'm one of the blog team leads, and we have a page on Medium where we talk about different topics in microbiology to educate different people on the different things that microbiology has and different things that are in these microbiomes and just different topics like that. So, our main goal is to spread this as much as possible. We're still currently growing because, of course, this is the first cohort. So, I'm definitely excited to see what's next. And we're just spearheading a group of around 100 kids because there's a blog team, there's a book team, and there's a social media team. So, we're across all platforms here. So, our main goal is to just educate people about microbiology and our passions for science, STEM, and essentially writing. So, overall, it's just helped me bridge different disciplines together. It helped me work together with different people across all time zones, noting that this is an international program. So I think it's given me that strength and to help me manage my time better. It's helped me collaborate with more people, and I'm able to meet people from all over the world. And we're able to share this love for STEM, for biology, for microbiology, and we're able to bring it out to the world to be able to hear about all the education that we have to share about microbiology and everything that's within it.
It sounds like I mean such an interesting society, and I mean I would love to be part of it as well. So and it's cool that it's the first cohort you said.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's so you're like a pioneer in that sense, which is very cool. I would love to hear about your experience from it more, and hopefully you can make some kind of maybe blog post about it. And it's opportunities like these, I think, that really spark the research, the love for research in students, the love for learning, and the love to explore more and to innovate ultimately. So I love programs like these, and I think we need more of it. So it's really cool that Harvard is doing something like this, and I hope more institutions can to get students involved from a young age, like in high school.
Absolutely.
Now, like we talked about learning, trying to learn more about what got you interested in these fields. So this leads to my next question. Originally, what was the thing? Was there one thing that sparked your interest in skincare science and dermatology, or was there multiple things? Like, was it chemistry first and biology, and then personal experience, a combination of all three, or what was it?
I would definitely say it's a combination of all three because at a young age, I was always influenced by whatever I saw on TV, whether it be a children's show or the news or anything of the sort. So ultimately, I've always wanted, again, to be a doctor because I saw a children's show. A children's show, I really saw what she was doing to her patients, which were toys. And it really just, it's the light in her eyes whenever she just was able to fix up the patient and make them happy. And it just blew my mind. And I just said, I want to be able to do this same thing in the future. And ultimately, with skincare, earlier on in high school, I watched a lot of Dr. Pimple Popper, amazing show to watch. And I also, at the same time, I was taking chemistry. So I think taking both of those things, watching the show and taking chemistry, definitely influenced my love for dermatology and skincare. And it further proved on why I should become a dermatologist in the first place, not only to educate people, not only to share my knowledge, but also to learn as well. Because not only are doctors teachers, they're also learners as well, and they learn by doing ultimately. So I think overall, I just want to be able to give that to other people, the same thing that I experienced, and I want to be able to give my future patients the care that any doctor would, and maybe even do it better.
That's some words, some certainly words that I would want to hear from someone who's trying to become a doctor. You know, you're not doing it for, I don't know, the money or for the prestige, but you're doing it for treating patients, really.
Absolutely.
Um, and again, that is something that I hope every aspiring physician strives towards because, I mean, that's the ultimate goal of being a doctor, a medical doctor. You want to care for patients, you want to make a change in people's lives by treating whatever kind of condition or disease they have to improve their quality of life. And that's a privilege that, you know, I would say a select number of people have in the world. I mean, not everyone's a doctor, not everyone is qualified to be a doctor, but that is where the respect of doctors comes from because they can do things that a lot of people can't because they've been trained and they have the knowledge for that to do amazing life-saving things, really, or even to improve someone's life. So I'm glad that you have that perspective, and I hope that is really the motivating factor for you to become a doctor.
Of course.
Now, you're a student in high school and you're navigating research, you're navigating academics, leadership, etc. And how has your understanding of medicine evolved from seeing science as theoretical uh, to seeing it as deeply personal and human?
Of course, science for me is ultimately something that I see everybody trying to learn and everybody benefiting from. So when we get our sources and when we try to maybe search things up on Google that may not make sense to us, let's say we have like a skin condition or a scab or maybe just like a simple scratch. When we try to search things up on Google instead of like refer to an actual doctor, it really sets the tone for should I see this doctor or should I just trust what I see on Google? That's part of what our project was, our research project was on STEMQuest 3.0. We were trying to see how social media has this role of research in science. So, what we see on social media might influence how people think about science, about healthcare, and about medicine. So, ultimately, I think we have to really read into it, and it requires a lot of work, yes, but at least you'll be more informed about what you read and about what's going on with you. So when you see a doctor and you tell them that you did do your research, you search things up, they can actually tell you the exact thing that's going on with you, or at least try to get you to the right answer to allow you to be able to treat whatever is going on, and it will leave you with a more informed outlook on whatever is happening with you. So overall, I would just say that media and social media have a big role in all of this because I know we have doctoral influencers and we have people who claim certain products work and such. I would just say that if people just try to educate themselves as much as possible and learn as much as possible, then we can get to the point of what actually is true and what's not. And we can get to the point where we know what we're doing to our bodies and how we're taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. I think it's very important in that sense. And actually, from that, curious, can you tell the audience more about your projects for STEMQuest 3.0?
Of course, again, we worked with how social media in research shapes the role of science. And ultimately, our team looked at different media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, different things that people use to consume media and to learn about different topics in their day. Maybe it would be just for entertainment purposes, maybe it's for learning purposes, or whatever the case may be. So ultimately, we were looking at how this sort of epidemic could be solved in a way, and also how people can learn from it. And so we came up with the conclusion that people first need to educate themselves. It starts at the source. And this is another reason why youth advocacy is very, very important because people around our age group tend to use social media the most. And I think if they hear it from their peers and people who are of their same age group rather than an adult, they're more likely to see the outcome and the results of people using social media this often to learn certain things or to get their sources from or get their news. So I think social media could be beneficial, but however, it does have its limitations for the fact that if you see something on social media, you could be watching it for entertainment purposes, but that same person could also be telling you either fake news or false news, which is why it's important to look at the source at hand, and it's important to do your own research. I cannot stress this enough. It's important to educate yourself, and it's really important to get yourself knowledgeable about the thing that you're watching or consuming or reading so we can make this problem more of an understanding than us just bickering, arguing about a certain topic.
Definitely, very well put. It's so important, especially in this day and age where social media seems to be a very accessible and engaging source of information. People go out, I mean, as you said, for entertainment purposes very often, but it's very important to understand that yes, a lot of that information could be fake, and a lot of it is fake, in fact, and that you should do your own research. Go to the source and see where something, whether something is actually factual or not, and not just listen to someone on social media who is generally not a reliable source of information, with a few exceptions maybe, but typically it's not the most reliable one when you can do your own research, and when considering that social media, a lot of it again is for entertainment purposes. So they might even exaggerate things. They might make things up to sound it, make it sound more interesting, get more viewers and engagement. That's a big point. So it's important to know this and to know that social media is not the place where you should be doing your research and learning more about something. Um, Especially when doing something like, I mean, a research project. Like,
Of
don't cite an Instagram page as part of your sources in the end. I think that's not the most reliable place to find information that you need. Now, one of the strongest themes of your StemQuest talk was inclusivity. And in your eyes, why is inclusive thinking so critical in dermatology and skincare science?
Absolutely. First of all, when we have different skin tones of different people, it's important to look at everybody the same way. You can't just look at a lighter person and go, okay, they have this condition. But then you look at a darker skinned person and go, well, there's probably nothing wrong with them because I can't really see anything on their face. That's, first of all, not the right way to do things. Number two, it's not fair because the condition on the lighter skinned person might be the same condition on a darker skinned person, but it's not visible on their skin because it's darker. So we have to put in mind that we have these different skin tones and we have to take a closer look at especially darker skin tones because they can be treated a little differently than lighter skin tones. With lighter skin tones, you can see the condition more clearly, but with darker skin tones, you might have to look a little closer. But it's definitely not fair to say there isn't anything up with you, especially if the patient just came in to see you and they know that there's something up with them. And just because you don't see it on them does not mean it's there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crucial to do that. I mean, you can't just look at someone and then based on their skin tone, okay, I don't see anything. No, you can't diagnose it like that. You have to take into consideration the difference in skin tone, of course, and I think it's something that um, I would say most people who go into medicine, everyone who goes into medicine, especially in dermatology, that has got to be one of the most important things to learn because you don't just go into dermatology, having studied conditions or what they look like on one skin tone. It should be what do these look like on different skin tones. I mean, I'm not studying dermatology. I don't know if that's the case, but hopefully they are teaching people who go into dermatology, the differences between different skins with different levels of melanin. So it's crucial, and I hope that this is something they're teaching because you're not going to become a dermatologist to just treat skin conditions in one group of people. You'll be dealing with people from different places with different skin tones and everything. So it's very important, and that's a great point you brought up.
Of course.
Now, can you share a challenge? It could be academic, could be personal, anything that really tested your confidence, but ultimately strengthened your commitment to medicine?
Of course. So, a thing with me is I always care about how I look and how I present myself. Ultimately, during COVID, this was around 2021, especially because I was in seventh grade and that was a full year of COVID. That really took a toll on me because we were home all the time and I didn't necessarily take care of myself in the way that I should have. So ultimately I got a lot darker with my skin tone as I normally as I got darker in my skin tone, darker than I normally would get. And I haven't been looking at what works, what doesn't, and I haven't just been taking care of myself because I've been drowning in schoolwork. But ultimately, that just strengthened my commitment to being a dermatologist and being in medicine because I think it's important to remind people that you have to take care of yourself no matter what. And what you put on the inside, it does in fact count. So ultimately, during COVID, I didn't have like the best eating habits. And I think that if I changed that around, I would have been a lot better. And I would be able to manage my time more. Not to say that I didn't do good in seventh grade, but I think I would have been a little less overwhelmed had I taken care of myself, gotten the amount of sleep I needed, and ate. So I think overall, it just starts from within, and you need to make sure that you're taking care of your body, taking care of your skin, taking care of inside and out, so you can look and feel your best at all times.
Definitely. That's great advice from someone, again, who's an aspiring doctor. I think we tend to overlook how important something like eating is, like eating properly, I mean healthy, like exercising, like sleeping. I mean, I need to work on my sleep for sure because you don't realize how, the difference it makes until you actually start doing these things and you start following these habits very strictly and routinely because ultimately it makes you healthier, first of all, which is the most important thing. Um, Health always comes first, and also it makes you perform better across the day in daily tasks. And it's such a simple thing, I think, that we overlook, whether it's skipping meals, whether it's not hydrating properly, whether it's not sleeping properly. There's so much you can simply do um, to become healthier and to perform better. And I think that's something maybe that schools perhaps don't teach enough. Schools, of course, they stick to a lot of uh, a lot of the academic teaching per se, but they don't teach a lot of life skills. And this itself, living healthy and following a healthy routine is a life skill, I think, just as something like managing your finances are, which is also something that I think schools don't teach about enough. Um, and it differs by curriculum, but I'm always curious in looking at, the curriculum in different parts of the world. And I do see there is a common thread that schools across the world really don't teach these things enough, which leads to a lot of the habits that you see people following later in life. I mean, in somewhere like America, there's a huge problem with unhealthy eating when the fast food culture is so popular here. But that's just one thing in a broader picture of, you know, uh, following healthy habits and taking care of yourself. And I'm glad that you take care of yourself very well and you understand it really well from a young age, because you're investing in yourself and in your future really because um, a lot of habits that you develop and that you grow up with, they stay with you later into the future when you grow older. And if you learn to follow these habits from a young age, it makes a tremendous difference.
Absolutely, yes.
So let's bust a myth now. There's a segment called STEM Mythbuster. So the myth is that skincare isn't real science, it's just cosmetic. So do you see this as a myth? I think I already know the answer, but I want you to elaborate more. And based on your experience, how would you reframe skincare as something that is serious, that is driven by chemistry, and that is medically relevant, and is really a very scientific field?
Of course. First off, definitely a myth. I couldn't say it louder. Definitely a myth. So, skincare as a whole, it really depends on, of course, what you put on your face, what you put inside your body, and of course, like how you wash your face, what you put on your face, and the different habits you take to ultimately give yourself that nice glow. Ultimately, this is all science because the foods you put in your body, they all have different nutrients to help your skin. And the different soaps that you use, whether it be a turmeric soap or a mint soap or anything like that, those are all a part of science. They all have different chemicals that are used, whether it be hyaluronic acid or retinol or any of those things. That's all science. That's all things that you're putting on your face that are all chemically induced, and they're all science things that you put on your face. So, also, when you have to change your pillowcase to make sure that you're not getting bacterias on your face, that's again science because you're making sure that you get all the bacteria from your pillowcase off and making sure that it doesn't end up on your face so you don't get acne or other types of skin marks on your face. This again is all science at the end of the day. So it's important for people to understand that skincare is in fact a science, and I don't think even it's something that should be overlooked. I know usually teen girls, they usually like to obsess over skincare, or they do get ready with me videos, whether they're doing their whole skincare routine or just putting on makeup. But I think truly everybody should be prioritizing their skincare because again, it's really how you look on the outside and it's how you feel on the inside and out as well.
Very well put and well done busting that myth because, yes, skincare is science. It is not purely for cosmetics. It's not, there's so much chemistry alone that goes into it. Um, and the products that are made for skincare, they're solutions, they've been formulated meticulously, and they've been proven to be effective because such products they are able to have an influence on the skin to make it brighter, to make it healthier, maybe plumps the skin in some way, and it does that specifically for the skin. If you apply it, I don't know, on maybe your hair or some other material, it might not work as well. It's been formulated for the skin and it follows biology in that sense too. So it's very scientific. It's multi-scientific, as in it doesn't just involve one kind of science, not just chemistry, for instance.
Yes.
And it's certainly not only for cosmetics. I mean, there's a reason that um, there's a whole field of science of skincare. There's dermatology. Like these are very, very scientific. So thank you for busting that myth again. And
Oh,
I hope that it's a myth that will be gone, and that more people won't believe in this because there are still people who do believe in that. So, looking into the future over the next few years, I mean, you're in your senior year, is that right?
yes.
Correct. Okay,
About to
so
finish.
you're looking ahead to university or college, I assume, and other than that, I mean, where do you see yourself focusing most? Are you trying to focus more on stuff like medical research, on patient advocacy, or things like product formulation, as you've been doing already, experimenting with different soaps and creams and everything? Dermatology, I mean, what is it that you think you'll be focusing on the most over these next few years, especially as you transition into university?
I definitely think it's a little bit of all of the above, actually. I just love, I don't know, I just played scientist ultimately a lot when I was younger, and I ultimately love doing different experiments, whether it be on my face or on my body, just to see what works and what doesn't. what works for me may not work for you. And that's okay because it's for our skin tones or skin types rather. And I think with the product formulation, it all depends on what's being used inside of those things and how science actually plays a role into the different chemicals that are being used in those products. And when it comes to patient advocacy and skin advocacy, of course, we're going to be talking about treating different skin types and different skin tones because, again, everybody is different. And I think, though, you should be treating everybody the same way. You shouldn't be treating somebody else just because they're lighter than person B. And I just really believe that if everybody is being treated the same way, then we'll have more inclusive healthcare and we'll have a place where everybody's being treated the same, everybody's being included, and ultimately everybody can be happy with their skin.
Definitely. And that's the dream. That is really
Of course, yes.
um, what the ideal uh, scenario should be because it's it's something that I think it's a common thing between different fields, not just in dermatology, but it's something that both doctors and patients they should all benefit from in some way because especially in something like skincare. I mean, again, it has to be more inclusive because when it comes to skincare, again, visibly from the outside, like you said, when you assess someone, you can't just assess whether a condition exists on a person or not um, just by looking at them and saying, okay, this person, I mean, they have a lighter skin tone, so it's visible on them, but then someone else with a darker skin tone, it's not visible on them. Like, it has to be a lot more inclusive than that. And I think in dermatology studies, it has to be something that is more stressed. I'm not sure how much it is stressed right now, but I can imagine still there's a lot of cases where um, dermatologists may be trained to treat conditions or observe them and analyze them on a specific group of people with a specific type of skin tone, but that's not inclusive, unfortunately. So it has to encompass everyone uh, and with a broad spectrum of skin tones, um, because that's how it should be really. And medicine as a whole is a very inclusive field. It has to be inclusive, and no one should be excluded from it, or it shouldn't be that like a doctor cannot treat a condition in someone simply because of something like um, the amount of melanin they have, and that's they find it more difficult to observe skin conditions on someone's skin based on their skin tone. And I'm sure you agree with that.
Yes.
Um, so long term, what kind of impact do you hope that your work will have on dermatology and inclusive healthcare, as well as how people understand uh, the science of skincare in general?
I just hope to be able to educate people, not only my patients, but educate anybody who's willing to learn. Because the more people that are informed, the more people that doctors are able to help, and the more people that we're able to treat ultimately. I know dermatology is a very, very hard field and it's the most competitive specialty to match into, but if that was the case, we wouldn't have dermatologists in the first place. And I aspire to be one of them. And I ultimately think that if we start at the source of the problem, we can ultimately get patients to fully understanding the conditions that they have or fully understanding different dermatologic terms or different just encouraging them as a whole to take care of themselves and really just building this inclusive space where they can really just be themselves and doctors will be able to just take care of them and be able to treat them and just overall just do their job of helping others and the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, that is something that I can see that you live by, and that is something that I think more aspiring dermatologists should live by. because a lot of people, again, they focus on just the dermatology, the science of it, but they don't consider the inclusivity, which is incredibly impactful because, again, it should be a very inclusive field as with other medical fields. Um, and it's something that people should not only see as, for a specific group of people, of course. It
Right.
should be something that is accessible to everyone, regardless of their skin tone. And I'm
Yes.
glad that through programs like STEMQuest, you've been able to talk about this and here on this podcast as well, so that more people can hear about inclusivity because that is an aspect that often gets ignored, but you're one of the people who are advocating for it and trying to make a change for it. So that's amazing to see, especially considering that you're only in high school. So keep it up in that sense.
Thank you.
Now, over, I mean, let's say, I don't know, in 20 years, let's go further out into the future. Do you think you'll be doing more research, treating patients, maybe um, having your own clinic, let's say? What do you see yourself doing after you get your degree? You can become a dermatologist, and I can imagine you're still going to be advocating for inclusivity then as well. But where do you see yourself, after you complete your education?
Of course. First of all, when I do become a dermatologist, I'm still going to be a lifelong learner. I'm always continuing to update myself on different medical articles, different research articles, just to get myself in the know of what's going on in the dermatology world and just make sure I'm up to speed about all the different updates that are happening because medicine is constantly changing and I want to make
Mhm.
sure I keep up with that change. And ultimately, maybe I might have my own practice. Not too sure about that. But I'm very open to what the future might hold, and I'll definitely be advocating for different skin conditions to be treated fairly because I think that's very important. And overall, just continuing to educate myself and educate other people. So I also tend to go into research because I think that's the way for me to learn and for me to be able to better teach my patients and help them. So I'll definitely be performing my own research or looking at already published research just to get a sense again of what's going on in the world and just make sure I'm just up to speed with everything. But ultimately, I'm really excited to see what the future will bring and I'm just really looking forward to being that educator, that teacher, and that learner, that lifelong learner that all doctors should strive to be.
Very well said, and it's very exciting because you're still going to be very multifaceted then, like you are right now, and you want to be a lifelong learner, which is incredible because education does not stop when you just get your degree and you complete what you wanted to complete. No, learning is an everyday experience. It'll continue until the end of your life. So I appreciate that you understand that so well and that you value learning so much. Because some people they just learn because they see it maybe as a chore. I don't know, maybe just to get their degree. They don't want to learn maybe for the sake of learning, but you seem like you're the person who wants to learn for the sake of learning because you enjoy learning. You want to get to improve your knowledge in certain topics. It doesn't have to be dermatology even. It could be across different areas, and that you really seek opportunities to learn. I mean, you've been in the STEM quests. You're doing the Harvard undergrad microbiome society, and you're doing so much, and you've done a lot of programs to enhance your knowledge across different areas. So it's really cool to see you doing that from a young age, and I hope that you continue learning all the time, no matter where you are, and even after you get your degree and become a dermatologist ultimately.
Of course, what I plan for the future is bright, and I'm just really excited to see what's next and what's to come.
Definitely, definitely. I'm rooting for you. Now, many students they feel pressured to choose between something like medicine, to choose between medicine, chemistry, advocacy, whatever it is. Um, at least the ones who maybe like you are trying to go into dermatology. And from someone who is going down this path and you're doing all of this together, what advice would you give to young people trying to combine science with inclusivity and real world impact?
Of course, I would say start at the source. Start with yourself. Of course, take a look at yourself and just see what can I do with what I've already experienced and what I've already learned to make an impact on others and potentially the world. So you want to do things that go around that niche. You want to take classes, you want to join extracurriculars, you want to do independent learning, take online courses if you can. Anything to stimulate your mind into that thinking that you want inclusive healthcare, you want to do dermatology. I think that's ultimately what you should do. At least what I did, I usually would just take online courses over the summer just for fun, just to enhance my learning and to deepen my knowledge on a topic I know about. Just to see if there's like another perspective I didn't know about or something new I learned. Because there's always an opportunity to learn. This has been like a very big thing for me, always learning. And I think it's just good to explore your interests, explore different fields of science. If you're not like a big science buff, then explore different fields of STEM. Explore your interests because I think if you explore your interests, you'll really see what you see yourself doing and you'll really dig deep into those passions and you'll ultimately get to build something out of it and impact the world.
That's amazing advice, and I hope whoever is watching this takes that to heart, because it's really about exploring. Learning is about exploring education, and you explore, you learn different things, you see what interests you the most. Um, you, if you just focus on studying one thing or trying to learn one thing, you are automatically blocking yourself from learning other things that you might find even more interesting, and that you might integrate into your learning and knowledge ultimately, that can help contribute to who you become in the future. And a lot of the passions that people develop, a lot of the interests that people develop when they go into some kind of field. It starts from it can start from some kind of program they did, for instance, and so also seeking out these programs and trying to apply for them and join them and to learn is very important, because these programs can really be life changing sometimes. Um, and it's important that young people have access to different opportunities to join academic programs so that they can explore different interests, and ultimately see what kind of captivates them the most, because learning, it's a lifelong thing. It's something that you should explore, and it's something that it's ingrained in discovery, I would say,
Of course.
because you don't see uh, how valuable learning can be until you use your knowledge, you use everything that you've learned about to discover something new, to experiment with something and discover something new about it. That's the power. That's where learning, applying your learning at least, really becomes something incredible, to discover and to innovate. And a lot of scientists are built like that because they have knowledge, they have a lot of information about different topics across subjects. It's not like, I mean, a doctor, they're going to be very good at biology and chemistry, and related fields and physics. I mean, a doctor is a very multifaceted scientist in that sense because they have to be good at multiple sciences at the same time. And the same goes with a lot of other scientists. While the name might be chemist, the name might be a physicist, they would also be good at other sciences too. And that's because they explored and they explored and explored and explored and learned more about other fields to become ultimately who they are.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah, learning is diverse. You know this really well yourself. And it's meant to be an experience of exploring and discovering on and on and on. And there's just so much incredible value in that. So, to wrap up, um, from your perspective, what role do youth play in reshaping healthcare fields, such as dermatology, to be more equitable and representative? I know you have been involved in youth organizations in science, and that you you know a lot of people. You've met a lot of people through programs like STEMQuest, and I feel like this is a question that you would have a great answer to. No pressure. But but yeah, I mean, it's the youth are actually they're the future. We're the future, um, and we can really reshape healthcare fields such as dermatology and strive for more equity. So, how do you think we would be able to do that, and what kind of change can we ignite as the next generation?
Absolutely. So the youth play actually a really big role in when it comes to shaping healthcare and even the future. So I think the first thing we have to look at is how we get ourselves involved in different things, how we learn, how we explore, and how we just overall learn about ourselves as humans. Because I know this is a STEM podcast, but maybe said person's not interested in STEM. Maybe they might love the humanities, the arts, music, history. There's so many diverse fields outside of STEM as well. And as somebody who loves STEM, but I also love different parts like music and other things, I think it's important to be able to bridge those gaps and combine your interests ultimately to create a certain thing, whether it be a passion project or just something in general to help others and just to put yourself out there. Our generation is, I would say, very creative when it comes to doing these things because, and I would also say a little rebellious as well, dare I say, because I think that we're good at taking different things that are just one set field and making multiple things out of it. So, combining different things that we enjoy or we enjoy learning about, we have a passion for, I think ultimately is what makes us happy and is what makes us in what we do more powerful. And I would say that to the youth, just to keep exploring your interests, keep getting yourself involved, put yourself out there, because you never know who you'll meet, you never know what opportunities you'll get, and you'll never know who can bring you closer to your goals. Ultimately, I would just say, just keep exploring, because you'll never know how close you are to the field you want to go into, especially if you don't know, unless you try and unless you explore and put yourself really out there.
Absolutely. You won't know until you explore. That is,
Exactly.
I think, a nice place to wrap up because um, that is something that's, I mean, a lot of people overlook because people they try to stay within their comfort zone. They don't want to, you know, pursue something new or explore something new out of fear of not knowing much about it or that it is outside of their scope of knowledge. Okay, so what, go learn it then. You never know what it can lead to really. And some everything you've learned, I mean, it's come from somewhere, and it's not that you're necessarily forced to learn it or anything, but it you learned it for a reason. Your brain retained that information for a reason. I mean, your brain is wired to filter out unnecessary information really well. Um, but if you retain some piece of information, it probably means it was value. It had some kind of value. So
Yeah.
you didn't learn it for nothing, and you probably weren't forced to learn it. You pursued it yourself, and even if you think it wasn't the most, I mean, tremendous, interesting, valuable thing you ever learned, it had some kind of value, and at some point, you'll see that it'll come in handy. Um, without you even realizing maybe. So yeah, I mean, strive to learn things even if it's outside you think if you think it's outside your scope of knowledge. But I mean, we're built to learn. We're built to learn, so use that asset because it's not something that every, I would say, creature on this planet has the capability to do. I mean, as humans, we're able to learn really well. We're very intelligent. We have brains that can store enormous amounts of information that are wired to change essentially and to change according to the new information that we gather, that we absorb. Um, and it's so transformative. I hope more people understand that and aren't afraid of pursuing new things and learning about new things, and to exit your comfort zone. You know, go into the world and do things that feel uncomfortable, but ultimately are for the better.
Yes, exactly. Just putting yourself out there, exploring your interests, and just, taking risks ultimately can lead you in a better place than what you started with. So I would just say to everybody watching, just go explore your interests. Just go out and just look at the things around you, look at what you have, or make something new. There are a lot of things that you can do to get yourself involved. And I just think putting yourself out there just really gives you that extra step, not only like towards your career, but also towards your personal development. So, in this case, in conclusion, I would just say just put yourself out there. Just make sure that you make yourself as open to opportunities and to people as possible, because again, you'll never know who you'll meet or who you'll run into, but it's just good to have that open mindset. Definitely.
Definitely, definitely. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to learn and keep exploring. And if something doesn't exist, you can be the one who
Yes.
innovates, who discovers and innovates and makes that thing exist. So you can be the one filling out that gap um, because, again, we each have unique sets of knowledge, of skills. None of us are the same in that sense. We're all very unique in that sense. Um, and we're all multifaceted and are able to combine different sources of knowledge to produce amazing things. So take that to heart and keep learning because learning never stops. Learning is one of the most valuable things, um, even if it's hard, even if it's outside of your scope of knowledge, even if it's something that just seems alien to you. Could be a new language, even. I mean, go learn it. Why not? You have one life, go learn it. So there's nothing, absolutely nothing stopping you. And even more, there's nothing to lose, really.
Exactly.
Well, Reindy, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I've learned a lot from you in this 1 hour, and I think your insights as an aspiring dermatologist, as an aspiring doctor, are very. It's something. How can I put it? It's something that more people should aspire to strive for. You know, you're not doing it. Um, it's like you're learning. I mean, you're not learning because you're forced to. You're learning things for the sake of learning. Um, you're learning because you want to be a lifelong learner, because you want to get as much knowledge as you can and to develop new skills and do things that would only be possible by learning more. And as an aspiring doctor, you want to be a doctor while striving for, making more, making dermatology more inclusive because it is such an important thing that a lot of dermatologists may not understand well, and that more should be trained to understand. And I appreciate that you're someone who really understands that and is able to make it your key motivating factor to becoming a doctor and to ultimately do it to treat patients, to improve the lives of patients, even to save lives. You're not doing it for other reasons, which is very inspiring. And I think your talk at STEMQuest was one of the best ones. And also your project was incredible. So thank you for being a speaker and a more active participant even in this STEM Quest than before. And I hope to see you at future STEM Quests again as a regular participant and now speaker. So thank you for partaking in these programs. Um, and today, I thank you for joining us and for sharing such a thoughtful perspective, from the chemistry behind skincare to just the importance of inclusive dermatology. I think your journey toward medicine, your attitude towards medicine is something that more people should adopt because it should be the attitude towards medicine to treat patients for the sake of, again, improving or saving their lives. That is really the point of it. And what really stands out to me is how you reframe everyday products as powerful STEM tools, showing us that science is not always, it's not hidden in labs, but often it's sitting right on our bathroom shelves, um, and they're shaped by molecular design and human diversity. So I hope to learn more about maybe some of the experiments that you do to create your own products in skincare. That is, again, a very interesting thing that I heard you say. Um, and yeah, keep it up. I mean, you're doing it incredible. You're only in high school and you're already striving for big things. So, Reindy, before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to leave our audience with? Maybe a message for students again who are trying to figure out how their passion for science can connect to real people and real needs?
Of course, anything I would like to say. I think really I've said it all, but I would like to end with this. I know we go to school to learn, and we get our grades, we have to do standardized testing, but I think ultimately, if you want to keep on exploring and keep on learning, I think it's best to take the learning outside the classroom. And that's not something people really talk about a lot because I know, school we get graded on tests and assignments and we're kind of forced in a way to learn the things that we're being taught. But I think if we're really passionate about a certain field or a certain topic, the best thing that we can do is go outside the classroom and educate ourselves on it. That's why I really value education a lot, whether it be inside the classroom or outside the classroom, because it really gives us that knowledge that we need to help us succeed on our future careers and just to help inspire and educate others. Because it's all about bringing each other up instead of putting each other down. And I really believe that it all really starts with learning and it all really starts with teaching. It all really starts with educating others. So any platform that I can go on and speak about a topic that I really am passionate about, I will do so because I want as many people to be aware about the topic as much as possible.
Amazing. Wow, what a way to wrap up. And I hope anyone who's watching this was taking notes from that because it's something that I think a lot of us should aspire to do. Keep learning, keep pushing ourselves to go for things that we may have not thought we can do because we really are capable of it, and to not quit even when things get hard. Things will get hard. I'm saying it now. I've said it on other podcast episodes and elsewhere a lot, but it will get hard, and you need to understand that resilience is really a weapon. It's a weapon, and it will help you get through hard times, to overcome obstacles, and that nothing lasts forever. So just understand that and be strong. Even when things get hard, you'll get through it, and you'll have the support that you need from the people around you. So just take that to heart and don't let anything stop you from achieving your goals. On always seek advice when you need it. Do not hesitate. Ask questions all the time. Keep learning. Don't go down one path and don't go down a path without getting any help from others, and also certainly don't go down a path without considering other ones at the same time.
Absolutely,
Well,
yes.
Rindy, it's been a pleasure once again, and thank you so much for joining us today and for speaking on Across STEM with YSI.
Of course. Thank you so much again for having me. It was a great pleasure to be here.
Of course. See you soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.